2 years ago, when billionaire Elon Musk bought what was once called Twitter, he vowed to keep it a non-biased platform. In fact, that was his mission statement. He posted it at the time. It must be politically neutral, which effectively means upsetting the far right and the far left equally. It was a message he repeated frequently in interviews after purchasing the platform.
The goal of New Twitter is to be as fair and even-handed as possible, not favoring any political ideology.
It should not be a partisan politics.
But that quickly turned out to be a hollow sentiment. Instead, Musk used his immense influence on his own platform to tell his followers to vote Republican in the 2022 midterms. And he voiced his support for Ron DeSantis as president. But there was one prominent Republican who Musk wasn't a fan of: Donald Trump. He said the former president was too old and that he should hang up his hat and sail into the sunset. And as you can imagine, Trump didn't take that advice very well.
You know, he said the other day, "Oh, I've never voted for a Republican." I said, "I didn't know that. He told me he voted for me." So he's another artist.
Now, Trump escalated the feud when he claimed Musk came to the White House begging for his help on his projects, adding, "I could have said, drop to your knees and beg," and he would have done it. He would also go on to savagely mock his notoriously glitch-filled campaign launch for Ron DeSantis on X. But after the campaigns of Musk's preferred candidate, DeSantis, and later Vivek Ramaswamy went down in flames, the billionaire planned a spring trip to Mar-a-Lago. In March, he met with Trump, who just so happened to be seeking a cash infusion to help his campaign. Afterwards, Musk was asked about the meeting and if he'd donate money to Trump or then candidate Joe Biden. And here's how he responded.
You said you're not going to donate to any candidate.
That's correct.
Why not?
I don't want to put a thumb on the scale monetarily. That is, significant.
You know where this is going, right? Well, by July, we learned that Musk was already donating a sizable amount to a political group working to elect Donald Trump. And the day after that was reported, he publicly announced that he was endorsing Trump following the attempted assassination on him in Butler, Pennsylvania. Last month, Musk was asked about the impact of his endorsement of Donald Trump, and he did not respond to requests for comment. Now, that brings us to this cringe-worthy scene yesterday, when Trump took to the podium again in Butler nearly 3 months later. Except this time he was joined by his friend Elon Musk, the same man who once proclaimed he would keep his social media platform politically neutral. And that Trump wasn't the candidate to lead this country.
As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA. Fight, fight, fight! President Trump must win to preserve the Constitution. He must win to preserve democracy in America. Vote, vote, vote. Fight, fight, fight. Vote, vote, vote.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that dark MAGA. I much prefer comedian Mike Drucker's interpretation, dork MAGA. Let's just take this in for a moment, and this image of Elon Musk jumping awkwardly on stage as Trump looks on. I mean, this will be the legacy of Elon Musk, the man once seen as a tech visionary, a real-life Tony Stark to some, who traded in his reputation and his self-professed principles to become nothing more than a reactionary Lex Luthor in a MAGA hat. We have an amazing panel to break all of this down for us. Angelo Carusone, president of Media Matters. Tara Setmeyer, co-founder and CEO of the Seneca Project and former GOP communications director. It's good to have both of you with us. Angelo, I'll start with you. I mean, this is an embarrassing spectacle for Elon Musk. Certainly last night, seeing him jumping up and down the way he was. He's given up any pretense of political neutrality as a person and certainly as a platform on X.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's two things I note. One is that I think one of the clips he played is probably one of the few times that Trump actually said something that was truthful, right? When he referred to Musk as a BS artist. Right. And that's the first thing that I would note, is that part of what sort of, and you saw the genesis in those clips too, is that much of the way that Musk talked about his role and X's role is the way that we heard Fox News talk about itself when it first came to being, right? That it was fair and balanced. Well, it wasn't designed to be fair and balanced. It was designed to be a counterbalance to what they consider to be the rest of the media. And that's exactly what he did with X, is that he sort of saw everything else as being far too liberal, sort of a tool for Democrats, And that's when he sort of talks about X being fair, what he really means is X being a counterbalance, a tool for the right wing. And you sort of see that playing out time and again, over and over again. So, yeah, I think it's embarrassing that he jumped. But the truth is, Musk actually jumps for joy for a lot of things. I mean, it doesn't get much height, but I'm okay with that. It's silly. It's goofy. I think the thing that's more disturbing is what he represents and stands for and who he is in our society, given his resources and his influence, and the fact that he is jumping for joy for what Trump stands for. And that's the part that I find really scary, is that, people might make fun of him a little bit, but ultimately there's not likely to be many meaningful consequences for what he's actually advocating for and fighting for. And that's the part that I find most disturbing.
That is the important part in this, Tara, that, I mean, Elon Musk is a man with tremendous power. We see that with the satellites that he operates, whether it's Starlink in the Ukraine war, his ability to be involved in our politics with the millions of dollars that he's pumping into it, his views on internet freedom, free speech, censorship, all of these things that he stakes a claim in and then tells people that he wants to be neutral about, but then behind the scenes works for or against.
Elon Musk is a very, I would just say he's acting out of, I think, trauma response. This is a guy that is not a well-adjusted adult. It's obvious. And you look at him standing next to Donald Trump and this like cosplaying role that he's taking on as this like kingmaker, bro tech guy. It's almost sad to watch if it weren't for the fact that he's so wealthy and dangerous. The things that he pushes on Twitter and what he says is it's lunacy oftentimes, and it's only because he controls so much and the government contracts that he has are so important, particularly to our space program, that anybody tolerates what Elon Musk has to say at this point. I mean, he has however many hundreds of millions of followers on Twitter and just pushes out these horrible, dangerous conspiracy theories. He goes on and last night he tweeted out, "Make America based again." And if anyone knows, that's alt-right code, that terminology. He does traffic in that dark MAGA world that we should all be scared to death about. You don't want these people in power. These are people who don't think that women should have equal rights. These are people who are like the incels in their mother's basement that, are out here in the masks and decide to go and march with tiki torches. These are the types of people who are excited by what Elon Musk has to say. And Donald Trump and MAGA are embracing him. It's transactional. The idea that Elon Musk is saying that we must vote for Donald Trump to preserve our democracy, it's that's like saying you have to vote for Mussolini to preserve Italian freedom. It's insanity. And between the two of them, what do they have? 17 kids by 6 different women? Yeah, they're the paragons of virtue.
Yeah, well, let me, again, Angela, we laugh about Musk's cartoonish antics here, but there is a danger in how he's using his voice. Let me get your reaction to something he said last night in Butler. Watch this.
Get everyone you know and everyone you don't know, drag them to register to vote. Make sure they actually do vote. If they don't, this will be the last election. That's my prediction.
So on one hand, in the public space, he has kind of promoted the great replacement theory. He is now saying this is the end of our democracy if the Vice President Kamala Harris wins, which is really projection in the event that Donald Trump wins. That might really be our last election. But this is a guy who is spreading dangerous rhetoric and calling on, as we just played in that clip, spreading dangerous lies.
Yeah, I mean, I think, telling people to get out to vote when you're advocating for a side, there's nothing insidious about that. But when you peel back the layer just one notch, and it gets to what you're noting about the other things that he's amplifying and engaging with, part of what he does day in and day out is sort of pluck things from the far-right fever swamps, the things that used to be on the fringes. And that is so tied into what Trump is doing in the larger Republican Party these days, which is building power on what used to be considered the fringes. And so when you start to organize power on what used to be considered the fringes, and you get out there, you tell people to get out to vote, and you organize those people, you bring in the types of activities that are likely to be violent and justify the means, the things that are really disruptive. Because those are the types of individuals that are relegated or had been relegated to the fringes for a reason. And you see that evidence day in and day out, as you noted, by the types of things that he's promoting. Let's not forget that 2 days before Trump got up there and talked about Springfield, and what was happening there, the false claims about Springfield. It was Elon Musk having a back and forth on X with Charlie Kirk that helped take that idea and further amplify it and saturate it to millions of people. And that's the kind of thing that's happening every day, and it's not by accident. So, when you peel back that layer, the way and who they're trying to organize and who they're speaking to, that's the part that's really scary, because they're really focusing in on the diehards and the people most likely to engage in the most destructive behavior, while simultaneously using the rubber glue and projecting, right? They're making it about democracy. Somehow they're the pro-democracy forces. And that, again, reinforces this idea that the ends justify the means. They are, turning the buzzsaw on that we're all sort of heading headfirst into right now.
Tara, I'm old enough to remember when Republicans were complaining and up in arms that tech bros or big tech companies and their leaders were the ones trying to help tip the scales for Democrats and ads on Facebook and Meta and all this. But not only has Musk's pro-Trump super PAC spent more than $30 million to help him since August, according to this new report from the Wall Street Journal, he has also given tens of millions of dollars to Republican causes for years, including groups with ties to ex-Trump aide Stephen Miller and supporters of Ron DeSantis' presidential campaign. I mean, it's always projection with everybody on the right, it seems.
It is, and J.D. Vance is a creature of Peter Thiel. I mean, again, they've become what they claim to despise, and they do it in the most insidious ways. And, when you look at the way that they're approaching this, Elon Musk, I worry about Elon Musk using Twitter around Election Day or when election results are coming in and sowing that type of disinformation that causes people to not have faith in our elections. This is something that MAGA is working on in a lot of areas, in a lot of states. We're watching them do this. And then you have someone like Elon Musk that's out here that could potentially put out that type of misinformation. He did it with the hurricane response. I know we're going to talk about that later, but this is how faith in democracies and your free and fair elections and the free flow of information is tainted because he has such influence. So you have Elon Musk, who has daddy issues and mommy issues. His mother's a conspiracy theory kook also. You've got Trump, who's got daddy issues, and you've got J.D. Vance that has mommy issues. They need to have a group therapy session and work it all out and stop holding the rest of us hostage because they haven't worked out their childhood traumas.